So in today's video, we are building out this amazing Microsoft Outlook email management system that will run your entire email inbox on your behalf. Here's how it works. When emails come through, we're gonna automatically sort them into different folders like personal, promotional, social, receipts, work, or whatever else you wanna have as folders. We can even draft AI responses to these emails. We can take receipts out of the emails like we can see right over here and upload them into OneDrive, or maybe send them off to our accounting team. We can add people as contacts. We can mark different priorities. We can literally do it all with this particular workflow that we're going to be building up from the ground. Even if you have no experience with n8n, the blueprints are going to be down below for free, and we're going to be walking through every single step. This will save hopefully 15 to 30 minutes every single day. It's like having a personal assistant by your side that instead of having to pay $50,000 a year, will just run 24/7 on your behalf, cleaning up your entire inbox. With that being said, let's dive into building this out right now. So the first thing is if you guys are absolutely brand new to n8n and you want to have a system like this, you will need to sign up for a free trial. Now, you do not have to add a credit card in order to do this. And once inside, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a new workflow. Awesome. Now, with this workflow, we need to have a trigger, or in other words, what is going to start this particular workflow. And in this case, we're going to wait until emails come into our inbox. So as soon as we receive something inside our Outlook email, we're going to automatically go to work sorting that into a folder like personal, for example, or like receipts, or whatever the case may be. So we're going to set this up by adding our trigger, and we're going to search for Outlook in here. Okay. And what this is, we're going to choose is the only trigger available, which is the on message received. So as soon as we receive a message from Microsoft, we will fire off this workflow. Now, the first thing we will actually have to do is go ahead and connect in our account here. I've already done so, but how you'd go ahead and connect in your Microsoft Outlook account is you'd hover over this field, click into it, create a new credential, and connect my account. Now, what this is going to do is give n8n the ability to view emails, reply to emails, delete emails, update emails, or do whatever it is that you're looking to do from within your inbox, just automatically, without you having to manually do it every single time. And then we have a poll request down here, poll times. This means that at some interval, whether it's every minute, hour, day, week, or month, this n8n system will find all new emails that have come into your inbox and then automatically go to work sorting them, replying to them, and doing whatever it is that you want this workflow to do on your behalf. Now, past that, what we're going to do here is we're going to choose the output. We're going to change this to raw. Essentially, what's going on here is if we just like fetch a test email here, it's not going to give us a lot of data back. What we want to do instead is change the output to raw, which is going to give us every single piece of information that we could possibly get from a particular email, because we're going to want to have all this data in order to automate the process for us, or for the process to be automated for us. Cool. And then apart from that, the only other thing that I want to do is I want to be able to download all attachments. So for instance, if we receive invoices or receipts from a given email, I'm definitely going to want to go ahead and download this so that I could, like, I don't know, upload it to my OneDrive over here, maybe QuickBooks as well, or maybe forward it off to my accounting team, whatever the case may be. Okay, cool. So we've gone ahead and we've officially set up the trigger. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send off a test email over here just so we can see it come in real time. So I'm going to enter in my email, and I'm going to give a nice subject and body of this email. I'm thinking something creative like test and test, and send that off. Okay, I think that was I think that qualifies as a dad joke. Cool. Okay, so we've gone ahead, received the email, and we can go ahead and fetch this by hitting this orange button here, and we can see the subject comes in as test, and we've sent it off from ourselves, and yeah, everything is looking good. We can even see the body over here, which is essentially this test. You'll notice that it gives all of this HTML, all this other crap that we probably do not need. And so what we want to do is we want to go ahead and strip all of this HTML, all of this CSS, all of this code, everything away, so that we only deal with the actual text, because, you know, obviously it's kind of annoying dealing with all this extra buffer or all this extra fluff that we don't need. And so how we're going to do that is we're going to create another step. So we'll hit back to Canvas over here and add an action here. And the actions are going to happen after the trigger. So we have a trigger that starts the workflow and then multiple actions that we're going to take after that workflow started. And these actions are how we act upon these incoming emails to automate the whole process. And so what I would like to do is I'd like to type in HTML here. And what we're going to do is extract HTML content. So if you guys recall, we were talking about the body having all this HTML that's kind of like garbage and we don't need it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to strip out only the text. And so how we can do this is we're going to go ahead and leave pretty much everything the same. We're extracting HTML content from over here. And specifically, I want to extract this content. So I'm actually going to drag this into the JSON property, which means that we're going to extract data from this field over here. Okay. And so we're grabbing the content or the value over here based on the key. So you reference the key, it will be replaced by the value over here, which is the actual email. Cool. And the only thing that we need to change from here is we just need to add a CSS selector. Like, how are we going to select this HTML to get rid of it? And there's a nice little cheat code here. We can just put the star. Okay. And once we put that star, then it'll go ahead and just strip out all of the HTML. We can execute this step and we'll notice that we didn't actually get really, we didn't really get anything on the outside here. It's just coming up blank. And that's because we need a key. And what a key is how we reference information. So if you recall, we referenced this content by body.content over here, which gave us the actual content of the email, which is right here, right? What we can do is we can just name this whatever we want. We can name it anything. And this is how we can reference it moving forward. But I'm actually going to go ahead and call this email body over here. So we know we're keeping it nice and clear so that we can go ahead and reference all of this text here. And keep in mind, you know, it's just a very simple email for now, but this could contain every single word in a given email. By doing this, we're just stripping out all of that HTML. So it's a lot easier to digest and work with. Now, the next step that we want to do here is we want to use artificial intelligence to be able to classify all of these emails into different folders. So we have, for example, personal emails, we have promotional emails, social emails, receipts, we have work, we have miscellaneous. There's so many different ways that you can classify this. And these are just a couple of generic examples. You could, of course, go ahead and create whatever folders that you want. And so in order for us to do this, what we're going to do is add another action here, and we're going to use the text classifier over here. So we're going to type in text classifier, and this will classify the email into one of the following categories, either personal, promotional, social, and so on and so forth. And so this takes text to classify, and then it will break it down into one of the following categories. So first of all, this could be like personal category. Okay, this could be a work category. So we're just passing in text, and then the AI will define, is this personal? Is this work? Is this something else? And so we need to, first of all, pass in the text to classify. And what I want to do is pass in 3 different elements here. I want to pass in the sender, okay, because I think it's important to know who sent the email. Then I want to pass in the subject, and then I want to pass in the email body. And given this information, the AI should be able to predictably determine what folder this email belongs in. So what we're going to do is we're going to map all the data from the input right over here into this text classifier section. So I'm going to go ahead and drag in the sender's name, which is just myself. You'll notice it dragged it to the bottom here. We're just going to go ahead and fix that and put it by the sender. This is called mapping, where we're just literally dragging the data from the input section over here. And this green text is the key. That's how we, like, this green text is essentially saying we are finding the absolute path over to the name over here. So we're referencing this name, and it's gonna, on runtime, be replaced by the actual name over here. Like if we open this up, we can see here's the actual expression, and then here's the result. It just replaces this green text with the actual name over here. We can go ahead and do the same thing, but this time for the subject and then the body as well. So we'll go ahead and find the subject, map that in there as well. awesome. And then the last thing is we want to add in this email body, which is right over here in the HTML section because we cleaned this up. Another benefit of cleaning this up is that anytime you're using artificial intelligence, you're going to be charged on the length of the text you send over. And so if you clean it up, it's going to be cheaper to send this data over to an AI model like ChatGPT, for example. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've added in the text to classify, and then we're going to go ahead and add in all of the different categories that we want to add in here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say personal, promotional, social, receipts, work, and miscellaneous. You're welcome to add in any folders you want. You probably have different categories that you want to add in here. Now, how you can go about doing this is inside your email, you'll just hover over your email and there will be 3 dots that appear here, and you can create a folder and name this whatever it is you want. And then we can go ahead and access this and route emails into that particular folder. So inside n8n, I'm going to choose personal, work, and then I'm going to choose social, promotional. So we'll add these other categories in here as well, social and promotional. And then what else do we have here? Receipts, and we have miscellaneous too. Okay, awesome. So receipts and miscellaneous. And miscellaneous is like a catch-all for things that do not fall within these other sections. Now, the most important part of this text classifier, where we're using AI to determine which category this email belongs to, is the actual description that we're using. And I'm actually just going to copy this in, and then we'll kind of read it back. But of course, the blueprints are down below for free if you guys want to just go ahead and copy it. Essentially, I'm saying personal emails, and let me just see. Yeah, okay, perfect. Personal emails are emails that are personal, time sensitive, or require your attention or response. Now, in terms of the actual descriptions here, it's of my personal preference not to keep these too bloated and long, because what can happen is that if you have them being too in detail, you can start pulling in emails from different categories and having them match multiple categories. So you just want to be very, very careful and explicit with the description that you put here. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is work. And so what I've written here is essentially this is going to be client related sales conversations, deals, contracts, follow-ups, or deal documents, anything to do with clients. And the next thing over here is social. So I define social as, in a nutshell, notifications from social platforms, follows, mentions, updates, and you could even put in here, this includes Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, etc. Awesome. And the next category we have here is promotional. So let's go ahead and create promotional. And these are just those pesky, annoying emails that you get on your birthday from people trying to sell you something that you probably don't want to buy. Emails promoting a product or a service, including offers, discounts, and marketing, or email blasts. All of the favorite emails that you probably love receiving in the first place. Then we'll go ahead and add in receipts. And these are anything to do with like invoices, receipts, bills, payments, confirmations, or from financial tools like Dext or Stripe. Dext is just a way to, you can think about it like a tool that implements into QuickBooks. It's for accounting and just pulling at receipts. And then we have finally miscellaneous tab down here. And miscellaneous is essentially a catch-all where emails that don't clearly fit into any of the above categories will then end up landing in here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and type out miscellaneous in its entire form. Now, inside the options here, you can allow multiple classes to be true and turn this off so that it doesn't match multiple of these categories simultaneously. We only want it to go down one path. And so what we can do here is we can go ahead and run this particular step. First of all, I'm just going to actually pin this data over here so we can reuse the same data. I just came in here and hit the pin button or tapped P on this, and it just automatically, you can see like the nice little pin button there. But essentially this will allow us to reuse the same sample data over and over and over again so that we don't have to fire off an email every time we want to run a test of this scenario. I'm going to go ahead and execute the step, and we'll notice we're getting an error over here. And the reason why is because we haven't attached a brain or a large language model to be able to process the sorting on our behalf. So we need to add a model and choose whichever large language model that you want down here. Now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use OpenAI's chat model down here just because this is the one I use primarily for no particular reason other than I've just been using it for a couple of years. And of course you can choose whichever model you want here. Now, in order for us to actually use this, we need to have a credential, and typically n8n will give you 100 free credits by default when you sign up. But if you don't have access to that, you can create a credential, and it's going to ask for something called an API key, which is just another way of saying it needs a password. Just like when you log into your Gmail account, you need a password to log in. So we'll head over to platform.openai.com and either sign up for a free account or log in. And of course, I am logged out right now, so I'm going to go ahead and log in here. This will just take me a couple seconds. And if we're lucky, it'll ask me for two-factor authentication, which is one of my favorite things to do in this world. Okay, if I can actually get past the typing in password stage. Cool. Okay, no two-factor authentication. Today is a good day. Maybe it's my lucky day here. Cool. So inside settings, by hitting the gear icon over here, we need to do two things. First of all, I need to grab an API key. Okay, we can create a secret key, and I'm just going to call this delete because I don't want to use this past this video. We can create the key and get access to our password or API key. So we can literally just copy that, paste it in here, click save, and we are good to go. The only thing with this API key inside OpenAI is that this is not a free product. This is not like regular ChatGPT that you just log into. You do have to have a balance, and you will need to go to billing and put a minimum balance of at least $5 on here to be able to start using this. But again, n8n should come with 100 free credits so that you don't even have to do that just to get started. Okay, cool. So we've added in the brain, and now we can go ahead and execute this workflow, and we can see that we have classified the text into the following category: miscellaneous. We know that because the line over here is green and it went down the miscellaneous tab, or we can open up the classifier and see that out of all the branches, we had one item flow through the miscellaneous tab over here. Awesome. So the next step that we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to sort all of these emails into their respective tabs. And not only sort them into their respective folders, but we can actually act upon those by, for example, being able to classify the importance or mark it as read. So we're going to do all three of these in conjunction with each other. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the miscellaneous tab down here. I'm going to hit the plus button, search for Outlook, and we're going to go ahead and update an email. So we're going to update a message. Okay, perfect. And the first thing is that we're gonna need to, first of all, grab the message over here, okay? And instead of dragging it down from a list and going through potentially 10 or 20 or 30 or 40,000 different emails, what we're gonna do is choose by ID and drag in the ID of that particular email. So when we received it, we have an ID, which is how we could locate this specific email to go ahead and update it, such as moving it to a folder. So we'll drag the ID over here. And then the next thing that we're gonna do is we're going to choose which folder we wanna move this to. So we're gonna choose under folder, the miscellaneous folder to move this to. So I'm gonna type in miscellaneous over here and add it to this folder. Again, if you want to create these folders, you can just go into your account, okay, hover over the three dots, create a folder, and choose to label this miscellaneous or whatever else you want to sort your emails into. Okay, awesome. So apart from that, I think we're good to go for the miscellaneous tab. I just want to go ahead and actually title this up top here, because when we're dealing with a lot of these categories, it's so easy to just get, at least for me, it's super easy to get confused when you have literally 6 or 10 or 15 different categories all with the same name. So we're going to go ahead and name this properly, and we've gone ahead and finished the miscellaneous category. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over the dots here and click duplicate, and we're actually going to duplicate this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different times, and then we can go through this same process with all of these other routes over here. So this time I'm going to open up the first email, title this personal, okay, and we're going to choose from the folder list personal. Okay, awesome. You'll notice that the ID here is red, and this is totally normal. We just haven't set this particular node inside n8n up properly. Another thing we could do here, and we're going to get around to fixing this, is we could mark the importance of this as high. So if it's coming in as a personal email, we know that it's of high priority. We can go ahead and label it as such. So I'm going to go ahead and drag the personal route over into the personal sorting right over here. And then we can go on to the next step, which is the work category next. So we'll go ahead and title this work and choose the work category. Okay, so this one is done. We'll drag in the work path over here. So anytime the text classifier defines this as personal, it'll go to personal. If it defines it as work, it'll go to work. Anytime it defines it as miscellaneous, it'll go to miscellaneous. And the same thing for these other three that we're going to go ahead and set up right now. So the next one is social. Okay, and we'll go ahead and also define this as social too. Now with social emails, the difference is that I really don't like social emails. I don't like this person commented on your post or whatever, or this person's page you should follow or whatnot. Like, you know, those emails, there's a million of them and they add almost no value to your life. And so I'm gonna choose is read and yes, because I wanna mark that by default as read when it comes in here so that I can clean up my mental bandwidth and not focus on emails that I don't actually think are relatively important. And then another thing that we can go ahead and do is we can also go ahead and mark this as an importance of, let's say, low, for example. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we completed the social section over here, and then we just have two more categories. One is going to be promotions and one is going to be miscellaneous. I'm actually going to duplicate this social one for miscellaneous or for promotions over here, just because likewise with promotional emails, very similar to social, I also think they're low importance and I want to mark them as read as well. So we can add this in here. Perfect. And then the last one is receipts or accounting or invoices or whatever the case may be. So let's go ahead and let's fix this last one up here. So I'm going to type this as receipts and we will choose to put this in the receipts folder down here. Okay. Awesome. So we're good to go. We now have officially created a system that will sort all incoming emails. So for example, what we can do is we can go ahead and run this workflow, and keep in mind we've pinned the sample data over here and we have encountered our first error. And it says the resource you're requesting could not be found. And so a lot of the times you just have to refresh the page or unpin the data. And what I'll do is execute this workflow one more time. We'll run it again. And this time it actually worked just because it was running on like stale data, or for some reason the pin wasn't working. So I just unpinned it, ran it again, and now it officially worked. If we come back in here, we don't actually see the email. It's landed in our personal folder. We can see that this is good to go. It's also marked as high importance with the amazing subject and body of test. Okay, so we're making some good progress here. Now the next thing that we can do is we can go ahead and we can automatically create drafts to those personal emails that are coming through, hopefully saving you a lot of time. Instead of you having to always create the first draft, we can automate that whole process using artificial intelligence. And so how we're gonna do that is we're gonna hit the plus button over here and add in OpenAI. And specifically what I wanna do is I wanna message a model. And so what this is doing is it's going to generate a text response to that incoming email. Now, what I would like to do is have, first of all, we're gonna choose the right account up top here, which we've already gone through the process of doing. We're gonna choose a model as well. And for me, I'm just gonna go ahead and choose GPT-5 Mini, just because it's up to date and Mini typically is cheaper and faster. If I can go ahead and actually find this, okay, there it is. And we want two separate messages. We want a system message and we want a user message. And so the distinction between the two is that a system message is giving instructions, okay? So it's telling ChatGPT what it needs to do. So for example, the instructions here could be, hey, I need you to reply to this email. And then the user message over here is the input. So we're giving the email that it needs to reply to, okay? So you can think about the system, the user message as this email body we're replying to, and then the system message as the instructions, which we're going to type in right here, which is with not all caps, you're an intelligent. I just feel bad, honestly, yelling at AI because it's the inner Canadian coming out of me. I'm just way too polite for that kind of stuff. It's just a Canadian thing. So you're an intelligent bot capable of replying very politely in a Canadian fashion. This joke, by the way, just never gets old, but to incoming emails, okay? And that's essentially it. We can provide the instructions here. I'm just gonna keep it nice and brief. We can also add in additional things that we wanted to do, like we could have in here rules, for example, and we could come in here and say, always sign off as, and then best Jono. We could have another rule in here, like 2 and 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. This is what I would call an iterative process. So you're not going to nail it the first time. You're going to learn from your mistakes and constantly updating this over time. And so this is going to be the worst it is at the beginning, and you're only going to improve over time. The next thing is we just need to pass in all of the information. Now, if you recall, in this text classifier, we added in the sender, subject, and email body. So I'll go ahead and copy that exact data, and now we're going to put it inside this system, or this user prompt over here, passing in all the information. The only other thing is it's giving us an undefined error in red text for the email body. We're just going to go ahead and remap this in. So we're going to go back to the HTML, grab the email body, paste it in here, and now we can see the subject, email body, and sender, and we're good to go. We can officially actually go ahead and generate a test email. So I'll execute this step up here, and it's going to go ahead and fire off a sample response for us to be able to use and reply back to that person. So, hey Jono, thanks very much. I received your test message and everything came through fine. Let me know if you have any further checks. Best, Jono. And it also went ahead and signed off just like the way I asked it to, right down here. Cool. From here, what we can do is we can go ahead and we can automatically create a draft email to this incoming email over here. So we're automatically replying. Now, you could send this off. I would recommend just starting with drafts first, because you want to refine the process so you're really happy with it before you automatically send things off without taking a look at it first. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose Outlook, and we're going to reply to a message. Awesome. And we need to choose the message from a list, okay? And this is going to be the ID, and we can literally just pass in from personal down here the ID of that particular message, and we are going to reply to, you could choose to reply to the sender or everyone attached. I'm just going to leave this blank, and we have our message down here that we're going to pass in, okay? So this message generated by AI is going to be the message we send back. And just a couple other things is I want to save this as a draft because I don't want to automatically send it to them right away. So we can go ahead and we can execute this step, and it's all good to go. Now inside our draft folder over here, we can actually see that we have created this draft. Okay, and so here's our response to this person's email. So this is looking good so far. Okay, awesome. Now the next thing that we can do over here after this is we can work on these other paths. And so we've done a lot so far. We've so far created AI generated responses. We've sorted emails into their respective folders. We've also gone ahead and we've marked certain things as low or high importance, and we've marked it as red as well. So we've already tackled a ton of different things. What we're going to do next is we're going to create contacts, and then we're going to deal with attachments inside n8n before we wrap up this video. So inside the work tab here, what we can do is we can go ahead and go back to Outlook and create a contact. Okay, so we're going to create a contact here, and we can add in all of this information like first name and like last name and so on and so forth. So inside this trigger from Microsoft Outlook, what we're going to do is we're going to find the user's name. Now, the problem with this is that it's asking for first name and last name, but we only have the first and last name in one given field. And so we need to split these out. And so how we're going to do this is by heading over to ChatGPT, and you can do this completely for free. And I'm going to say that I'm actually going to just drag this email field in. Okay. And I'm going to say we have this variable here inside ChatGPT because it's actually going to solve this problem for us. We have this n8n field here, and it contains a full name. I need you to only grab the first name. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead, we're going to pass this in, and it's actually going to generate something called a function that is technically JavaScript, but you don't have to code it all. It's going to do all the heavy lifting for you, and it's going to remove the first name. All we have to do is click copy over here. And by the way, if you want to be able to grab this, you can literally just take a screenshot of this and you can put it down below and ask ChatGPT, turn this image into text. In case you want to do that, it's going to be in the blueprints for free down below as well. We'll go ahead and copy this, and we will replace this first name right over here. Okay, and so we see that it's it's gray and we don't have anything over here. And the reason why is because we don't have any data to work from. The email came in and then it went down the personal route over here, which is problematic. We need the data come in, flow in, and go down the work route. So unless it goes down this work route, we're not gonna have access in these other paths to that particular information. So how we can change this is we can come into the text classifier right over here, or we could go into the email, but I'm gonna do the text classifier, and we can go to JSON data. Actually, sorry, we're not gonna go to the text classifier. We're gonna go back to the original email, and we're going to click this edit button right over here. And what we can do is we can start editing the actual information. So for example, in the subject line, I can say this is a work email. And I'm literally just telling AI that this is a work email so that we could literally go ahead and send this down the work path. And this is just for test purposes. I'm gonna save this. It will pin the data, which means the next time we run it, it's using the sample data that we just edited. And now what's gonna happen is when we execute this, it's gonna go down that work path. So instead of it going down the personal path like it was before, because we edited the subject line and we edited the email body, which is what we passed in here to qualify this as either a personal, work, social, promotional email, because the data coming in here is now saying, hey, this is a work email, this is a work email. ChatGPT is gonna think, this is a work email. We're gonna send it down the work path this time, which means that we now have data to work with over here. And so if we were to open up this field, now what we've done, given this ChatGPT string over here, is we've added on something called split with a space and 0. All this is essentially saying is it's removing the person's name based on the space. It's breaking it down into 2 fields and it's taking the first one. So we're just removing the first name out of this. And what we can do is we can do the same thing for the last name. So I can ask ChatGPT this time one more time, can you grab the last name for me too? And it will go ahead and now this time grab the last name. And the only difference is and hopefully this works. If it doesn't work, we can just go back and fix it. Okay, so this works as well. Or we could just literally copy this exact thing here and just change the 0 to 1, and now it'll grab the last name as well. Okay, and so that's it. We've created the first name, last name. We can add in things like the email as well. So for example, we could go down the list until it says email. Okay, perfect. I just skipped over that. We'll add an email address, and now we can just paste in that particular sender. So the address and the name, and we are good to go. This is going to create a contact inside our account. Sweet. Now the last thing that we're gonna do here is we're gonna go down the receipts path. And what I wanna do this time is I want to grab the attachments, and then I want to forward this over to our accountant, or maybe you can forward it into like a software like Dext or QuickBooks, which essentially can use OCR to pull out all the line items to be able to upload that into your bookkeeping. Or you could also go ahead and you could add this into OneDrive over here. There's a million things that you could do with this data. I'm just going to give you one simple example. And so the first thing we need to do is we actually need to get it to go down the receipts path, but we want to have attachments on that email. So I'm going to unpin this data over here so that we can draft a new email. So I'm going to choose new email inside Outlook, and I'm just going to send this to myself. And we're going to go ahead and enter in a very nice test and description. I'm actually going to call this accounting/receipts just so that it can go down the path just as a demo here. And we're also going to go ahead and choose to attach 2 different files. These are technically the same file, just done twice, and I want to show you what it looks like if you add multiple different attachments on here. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've received that email, and what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to trigger this workflow, and hopefully that email's come in, and it looks like it actually did come in, but we didn't map this one path out. So I just need to bring this receipt because it was going nowhere, and we can execute this one final time, and it will go down the receipts path right over here. Now the next thing is we need to grab those attachments. So inside this workflow, we're going to add another step, and we're going to choose Outlook over here, and we're going to search for attachments, and we want to get many attachments, because if you recall, we didn't just send one attachment, we sent two. And so you might have 50 attachments, and you probably want to manage all of them simultaneously. And so we're going to deal with multiple attachments here. And so what we can do is we can grab the message by the ID, okay? And so we're going to grab the ID from this previous node right over here, and we're going to pass it in here. And that is good to go. Let's just see what else. We could add additional fields. I'm just going to delete this and execute this step. Okay, awesome. And we can see we have two items, okay? One for every single file that we are able to send. And we know that too, because now all of a sudden we had one email come in that had two attachments over here. And what I would like to do is filter to make sure that these attachments actually exist. Because if you have an email that comes in that does not contain attachments, then if you run down the remainder of the workflow, it will try and find something that doesn't exist, and it will break the workflow. So we just want to make sure it only continues past this if it finds attachments in that email. If it doesn't, it will safely shut off the workflow. So we'll add a filter step in here, and literally any data, it doesn't matter. If anything is pulled back here, it means that attachments exist. So I'm literally just going to put in the name here, and I'm going to say, as long as this name exists, then we can keep the items, or we'll pass through this to handle those invoices. If there's no invoice or no file, then there won't be a name of that file, which means that it won't exist, and we will pass through here. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and download each one individually. So from here, we're going to go back to Outlook, and we're going to go back to attachments, and we're going to download an attachment. Awesome. And so we just need the message ID, and we need the attachment ID. And so the attachment ID we can grab from this ID right here. So get many attachments. We're going to go ahead and put that in the attachment ID because we just downloaded it over here. And then we want from the receipts the ID here because this is the email ID. So we have one ID for the actual email and then IDs for the actual attachments. And so we just need to pass both of those in here. So again, we'll go back and choose the ID over here, and we have the receipt over there. Awesome. Let's execute this step. And now we have pulled back both attachments over here. Awesome. And these are the two attachments right here and right here. We've downloaded both of them just based on the first message ID. It's the actual ID of this particular message, okay? And then we needed the IDs of each individual file, which we've passed in. And we've done this twice, right? For both attachments over here. So it ran through each one individually. And now the last thing we can do is we can first of all send this off to our accountant, or we can upload it to OneDrive. So let's go ahead and send this off to our accountant first. So we can go ahead and use Outlook and then send a message. And we can just, I'm just gonna actually send this to myself. So I'm gonna put in my own email here, and oops, if I can spell that properly, and we'll title this with the subject test and test, and then we will add attachments, okay? Specifically, what we need to do is we need to add an input field name. And what you put here is whatever is listed in orange over here. Since this says data, we just wanna put in data. This is the field that we will grab the binary file by, okay? And so this is it. We can send that off. We are good to go. And now we've officially sent off two separate emails over here. And so this should actually come into our inbox over here. So if we go back to if we go back to Outlook, we go into the inbox, we can see both of these emails coming through with the receipts. Now, obviously you wouldn't send this to yourself, you'd send this to your accountant, but that's how you'd go about the process of doing so. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about here today in this particular video is how you could go ahead and actually add this into something like OneDrive, okay? And so with OneDrive, we could go ahead and upload this into a folder, just like this receipt over here, so that we could have access to this at any point in time in a given folder with all of our attachments from our Outlook account. Cool. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to upload a file, okay? And specifically, we want to upload both of these files right over here. You'll need to create a credential and connect into your account just like you did before, and you'll just have to go through security. And this will give access to n8n to be able to upload, delete, find, update all of your files inside Microsoft automatically so that you don't have to do this manually. And we're going to choose resource file upload, and we're going to need to add in here a couple things. So we're going to choose file name, parent ID, and we want to select the actual file we're uploading. So let's start at the bottom here. I'm going to choose binary file, and the input binary field is data, and this will just match data. If this was something else, you just type in whatever it is in orange over here. And then we want to add in a name. And so we actually can't really access these names in here. So, or maybe we can just go ahead and add in the file name right over here. Okay, so that's how we get the name. And then we need the parent ID, which is the actual ID of this folder over here. So I just created a test folder, and what we need is the ID of this test folder in order to upload it properly. And so probably the easiest way to do this is actually just to add, if you hover over this line here, there's a way to add another node in here, and I'm going to go back to OneDrive, and this time I'm going to get a folder. So we're going to search for a folder. We're going to add this in, and I'm literally just going to call this test or whatever it's named over here. So we're searching by the exact name of the folder. We can execute this step, okay, and it should deliver back to us the ID of this folder here. Okay, so I'm literally just going to copy this, like just copy it, hard code it, and I'm going to delete this path, and I'm going to paste this in the parent ID. This is going to be constant. No matter how many times you upload files, you're always uploading in the same place. And then we can go ahead and execute this. And this will go ahead and upload both of these files right over here into this folder with the ID over here. And we can see inside the test folder that we have officially gone ahead and uploaded both of these files in here. So this looks like just a few seconds ago it was added in. We just tested one item for now, I believe. And that's essentially how we can go through the process of not only automating your entire Outlook inbox, but also being able to integrate in multiple different other platforms like OneDrive. Now, that's all we're going to cover in today's video, just a couple other ways that you could integrate this in. Perhaps what you'd want to do as well to take this one step further is you could connect this into all of the other different Microsoft apps. So let's say you wanted to give yourself a notification when important emails came through. You could send yourself a message on Microsoft Teams. If you had a task coming through that you wanted to get, a record of, you could create a task through Microsoft To Do. You could add different data into Microsoft Excel. The options are essentially limitless, but this is a great way that will save you hopefully 15 to 30 minutes every single day just by automating things that you're manually doing, and you probably don't want to be doing manually anyways. Instead of hiring somebody and paying them a ton of money, this is something that you could set up in literally 30 to 60 minutes and have this running for you for the rest of your lifetime using a platform like Outlook. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found value in it. The blueprints are going to be down below for free. And if you guys like content like this and you want to learn more about AI automation, first of all, I'd recommend taking a look at my channel because I have tons of free content just like this. So if you could go ahead and if you found value in this and hit that subscribe button, then hopefully I'm sure you'll like the other content that I release on pretty much on a weekly basis as well. And then also, if you guys haven't taken a look at yet, I have a school community where essentially what I want to do is provide 3 outcomes to every single person that joins. To learn n8n and these tools is the first outcome, so you can apply it to your life to make money and save time. And so once you can learn these tools, the second outcome is to sell these automations to existing business owners, because people are literally thousands of people every single day are posting jobs looking for people just like yourself to service by building out these automations. There's countless people in this community that are earning tons of money doing this, like for example Adam Haley, who hit $10,000 going down this path, as well as multiple other people as well. Unfortunately, I can only pin like 12 posts here, but that there's tons and tons of people that are making money every single day doing this kind of stuff. And the third transformation is for those of you who already have existing businesses and you want to automate pretty much every single or as much of your business as possible. So what I did is automated 80% of my business that I was able to scale to 7 figures. And I've given away the same blueprints that you can copy, paste, and deploy into your own business. And there's tons of people finding success as well, not just me, but also people in this community, as well as my own AI automation agency clients. And if you guys are ever looking for help setting this up, you can always take a look at my AI automation agency over here, where I help people implement these exact tools to save time and earn money. So thanks guys so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.